Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today we're going to take a quick look at some breakouts, some guys that are going to be sleepers who could blow up in 2025. These are not the sexiest names on the board necessarily, but they are names that could help you win a fantasy league, and I've got two other names that can help you win as well. Terrell Furman Jr., my boy from Betting Pros, and also my patty cakes, Pat Fitzmaurice. The boys have compiled a list here to help you find some of those deeper stashes in your fantasy drafts that are upcoming in just the weeks ahead. Before we get to those names, don't forget, use the cheat sheet creator and all the tools here along with us on the podcast to help you crush all of your competition, because the cheat sheet creator is here for you. And I'll tell you what, at fantasypros.com/sheet, you can customize your board and make sure that you're getting all of the names. You can pick your favorite experts. You can do it all and do a hybrid of all those things for sleepers, breakouts, and more. Sync your leagues for free, customize your rankings, use all the tools over Fantasy Pros. Download the Fantasy Football Draft Wizard app today at fantasypros.com/sheet. That's the place to go to make your customized draft sheet. All right, Pat Fitzmaurice, let's start with you here. We're going to start with, I can't believe it, the Packer guy is starting with a Chicago Bear. But let's start with a guy in that backfield that you think people should pay attention to.
Roschon Johnson. And why, yes, Joe, I am interested in a running back who averaged 2.7 yards per carry last season. I'm giving Roschon a mulligan for 2024. Chicago's offensive line was a mess, especially inside, which hurts a running back like Roschon, who conducts a lot of his business between the tackles. The Bears ranked 31st in the run blocking metric adjusted line yards. Only the Dolphins were worse. Roschon averaged 1.5 yards before contact per carry, which ranked outside the top 100 among running backs. But the Bears have pretty much fixed the interior of their offensive line. They signed Joe Thuney, Chris Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson. That's a pretty impressive overhaul. And what really has me most interested in Roschon, though, is the possibility that he becomes the discount David Montgomery in Ben Johnson's offense. Like, Montgomery has 25 rushing touchdowns in 28 regular season games over the last 2 years. Roschon's a big dude, 225 pounds. That's 20 pounds heavier than DeAndre Swift. There's a good chance Roschon is the Bears' goal line back this year. And Roschon isn't just a one-trick pony. He's a pretty good pass catcher, had 34 catches as a rookie. He's a good enough athlete that he made Bruce Feldman's 2022 Freaks list. Back when Roschon was playing behind Bijan Robinson at Texas, he was right behind then Oregon cornerback Christian Gonzalez on the list. So Roschon actually enrolled at Texas as a dual threat quarterback. So, and let's look at Chicago's other running backs. DeAndre Swift, dead last in the NFL in rushing yards over expected per carry last season. He was underwater at negative 0.69 yards per carry over expected. Then there's rookie seventh rounder Kyle Monangai. I know you like him, Joe. I like him too.
I do.
But the profile prospect is a little sus. I mean, he's an undersized running back who doesn't catch passes, and it didn't go until the final round of the draft. So Roschon is a pretty compelling deep sleeper.
I don't disagree. I like to pay attention when new coaches come in and start to pick their own guys. And Monangai, to me, feels like it could be the Montgomery goal line back in this offense, which could be huge. Now, look, I don't love DeAndre Swift, so I think there's room for Roschon and Monangai, all of our guys, basically, to eat there in that Chicago backfield. I want to take a trip to Denver on a plane with Terrell and talk about our next guy here. It's a wide receiver on the Broncos that Terrell thinks could have a breakout season. What is the name, T?
Oh, yeah, Marvin Mims Jr. I think it's going to be a year because I think the Broncos offense is going to be way better all the way around. This is year 2 with a rookie first-year QB and the same head coach, and a lot of first-year QBs, second-year QBs can't say they're going into that second, third year with the same head coach, and here he is. This is Sean Payton's guy, and he's going to coddle him. I said it all last season, and this didn't change, Joe. You thought that just because we're in a new season, this changed? No, he is coddling little old Bo Nix like a baby and giving him everything he needs. And what he gave him at the end of the last season was Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims, week 11 on, wide receiver 23 in fantasy. And I think, yes, he had a lot of touchdowns in that stretch. We can't sit here and say that we can predict touchdowns all the time, but he has the target share. He saw a target on 30% of his routes run. run at that point in time. And I think it can only get better with another year in the offense. And I know Pat Bryant is out there. All the Pats, they're getting on my nerves now. I know that Pat
Hey,
Bryant
easy,
is out
easy.
there.
Shh.
I know Pat Bryant's out there, but he's still going to be a first-year wide receiver. And regardless, it takes time to escalate. It takes time to get those guys comfortable in the system. So I think Marvin Mims is going to be way better than wide receiver 49, a 59.
Pat, I'm sure Terrell still loves you. You're not a Pat that gets on anybody's nerves. By the
No.
way, Marvin Mims going around wide receiver 57 right now currently. That's kind of his MO. That's a pretty darn good value for a guy in that offense. Could take a real step forward this season, that's for sure. All right, Pat, back to you. Let's go with a running back now in Cleveland that you think might have a bigger opportunity. Perhaps this is based on some recent events, or maybe just the fact that we like this talent. We just didn't love the landing spot at first, but it doesn't mean that Dylan Sampson can't necessarily still make some progress in his rookie season.
Yeah, it's a little of both factors, Joe. I mean, going into the NFL draft this year, I had Dylan Sampson ranked RB6 among the running back prospects. He was my favorite guy behind the big five of Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, and Caleb Johnson. Sampson has just great lateral agility, really good contact balance for a 200-pound running back, and he plays much faster than his 4.5 40 time. He's also a really smart, patient runner, and he catches passes. The problem was that Sampson was a fourth-round pick of the Cleveland Browns, who had already selected Quinshon Judkins in the second round and also have Jerome Ford on the roster. Well, Quinshon is now facing some legal difficulties, which might give Sampson a little bit of daylight in this crowded backfield. And I know that during their mini camp, Deuce Staley, the Browns running backs coach, said that he wanted to use Sampson as a running back and as a receiver who can move around the formation. So that could bode pretty well for Sampson's usage this year. I just know the Cleveland RB situation is pretty ambiguous, but that ambiguity is giving us a really nice discount on a talented young rookie. So I'm happy to bet on Sampson's talent and grab him with one of my final draft picks.
Pat, just basically in the same round almost. I mean, Jerome Ford is at RB 56, Sampson's at RB 60. Would you take Sampson, this the younger back here?
Yeah, I mean, it's close, but I think there's a little more upside with Sampson. Like, we've seen what Ford is. I don't think Ford is good enough to dispatch the young guys in that backfield, but there's a chance Sampson is so good that they just say, okay, we're playing this guy over Ford and Judkins.
Fair enough. All right, back to you, Terrell, and let's start with another wide receiver on your list. Joshua Palmer finds himself in a new spot, so why could this be different for his fantasy value this season?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of similar to the Darnell Mooney call I had last year of a proven wide receiver that may have not had the best situation moving on to a good spot for them. And Joshua Palmer, while his numbers really don't glare off the page for you at all, but if you watch the tape and you look at him, he gets separation. And that's the thing that they need in Buffalo. They need wide receivers that can get separation and be open. I don't think that there's a clear-cut number one. Some people will say it's Shakir. Other people feel like Keon Coleman is going to make a huge step, and he's going to be the number one in this offense. I'm sitting here saying, I think Palmer's going to have a role. They didn't bring him in for nothing. He signed a 3-year, $36 million deal with the Bills. He's in the long-term plans for them. You look at what he does in terms of separation last year, and he was 16th in separation and 12th in route win rate. So I think that this is another spot where we have another veteran wide receiver going to play with a talented quarterback. And he's just going to be somebody that is like, oh, wait, I can trust this guy. He can get open multiple times. So wide receiver 69? That's way too low. That's way too low. He doesn't have to go out here and be a top 10 wide receiver for him to outperform wide receiver 69. So I think Josh Palmer is going to have a great year.
Do you have to be a Keon Coleman fader to be interested in Josh Palmer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that feels like that might have to be the case there. And I know some people still are not sold on Keon Coleman. It's one of the big debates this offseason. I know Terrell is not. Pat, I feel like you are.
Well, I'm a Keon guy.
Coleman guy.
I'm a Keon
You're a
guy.
Keon guy. Look, I think we all love the dude. And I think what was so interesting about him, I heard an interview with him where, they asked him, what did you do, this offseason when, you were watching tape? He said, I have to improve on everything. He was just saying none of it was good enough, which is great that he kind of recognized that. And you got to love the kid. It's just whether or not he can improve on it. That's a different question, as Terrell pointed out too. the ADP for Palmer is basically free. So free is always a nice investment. All right, we got 2 more names here we're going to get to. One is a wide receiver. Going back to the Carolina Panthers for this one. This kid had some moments last season. Pat, let's talk about Jalen Coker, because now all of a sudden it is a very crowded room. Ted McMillan is there. You have Xavier Legette. You have Adam Thielen, the ageless wonder, still hovering around. So where does Coker fit into all of this?
Yeah, I mean, there is target competition, Joe, but like not a lot of high-level target competition. It's not like he has to contend with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. The Panthers obviously expect Terrell and McMillan to play a big role right away, but then it's Xavier Legette, who, let's face it, was pretty terrible as a rookie last year, and Adam Thielen, who's going to be 35 next month. I think Moses had Adam Thielen on his fantasy team back in biblical times. And then Carolina's tight ends don't really catch many passes. So our colleague Derek Brown was an early Jalen Coker enthusiast, and as much as I hate to admit it, I think Debro might be right about this guy. Like, in fact, I'm going to use some of the same numbers.
Yeah. We won't tell him. Please, nobody tag him. I know, we don't want YouTube comments.
We don't want to inflate his ego.
No, don't.
Yeah, I'm going to use some of Debro's numbers to make the case for Coker. There were 6 games last season where Coker played at least 2/3 of the offensive snaps for the Panthers, and Bryce Young was the Panthers' starting quarterback. Coker averaged 55.7 receiving yards per game, 11.4 PPR fantasy points per game, and 1.89 yards per route run in those 6 contests. So yeah, I mean, I think this guy is sneaky good, and I like him as a late round flyer. I think there is a path to targets, maybe multiple paths to targets, since this is not a world beating wide receiver core that he has to deal with.
Yeah, Coker's actually a guy that I picked up in a couple of deeper leagues last year, and I picked up in Dynasty too, because I do like the player, and I think much to my chagrin as well, Debro might have been right about this one. So I'm fascinated to see Bryce Young take another step forward this season too, because I think if you were paying attention last year, it's something we keep driving home on the betting shows. If you haven't seen those, go subscribe to Betting Pros. We've been talking about a lot of the recaps from last year, the offseason, and prepping for this year and looking at win totals and whatnot. That was a team that covered a lot of games. Defense is still bad, which means the offense still has to push the football. So a lot of positive things there potentially for Jalen Coker and for the Panthers. Good head coach too. All right, give us one more name here. And Terrell, I guess you're trying to get in my good graces here because you chose a Patriot?
Yeah, I did. And even though I may not be the highest Drake May guy here on the show, but Hunter Henry, here we go again. Have y'all played Grand Theft Auto and you had CJ and he's like, oh man, here we go again? That's what I feel with Hunter Henry every single time. 2023, he joins the Patriots. ADP is tight end 30 that season. He finished in weeks 1 through 15 before he went down with injury for the rest of the season. 1 through 15, he finished as tight end 13. 2024, ADP tight end 22. Okay, the people are learning a little bit. He finished as tight end 12 on the season last year. In Drake May's full starts, he had a 19.2% target share, 49.9 yards per game, and 11.3 fantasy points per game in full PPR. I mean, he's been great, and now he's tight end 19. Clearly, we see his ceiling, the floor, that is. The floor is tight end 12, tight end 13. He is a number 1 tight end, and he's going all the way dirt cheap in the back of the rounds. If you just want to fade tight end and just punt tight end, go get Hunter Henry, because Hunter Henry is good every single year. And I'm not afraid of Stephon Diggs. I'm not afraid of whatever else that Vrabel has cooking up over there with the Patriots. I think Hunter Henry is here to stay.
It's interesting, Terrell, because like Tyler Warren, great talent. I'm just completely not sold yet on the situation being a good one for him as a rookie tight end. They're going, not that far away from each other. Would you rather have
Hunter Henry
outside of the talent of? Okay, there you go.
That's the guy.
Chill.
That's the guy.
Pat, how about for you? Same answer. Would you take the floor of Hunter Henry or whatever the upside is of Tyler Warren?
I would,
or do you just take both and stash them and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with a lot of what Terrell is saying about Hunter Henry, but I would take Tyler Warren just for the sheer possibilities, the upside.
All right. Drop your comments below. Who would you rather have, Hunter Henry or Tyler Warren? Drop your comments in the chat. We love to hear from you here on our YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube of Fantasy Pros. Trying to get to 300,000 subscribers this year. We can do it with your help. So subscribe, ring the bell till it goes ding so you never miss a piece of content here on the channel. And like this video on the way out. It's easy to do. Boom, just click that little thumbs up. That's all you got to do. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Terrell and Pat, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.